Is Nagelsmann set to replace Erik ten Hag as the new Manchester United manager? Dan Ashworth deal being fast-tracked, and due to the results last night, is the 5th place in the Premier League now not going to get Champions League? These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this morning's show. But before we jump into that, please smash a like on today's video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let's get straight on into it. So apologies for the no videos yesterday. It was my 30th birthday, so I had a nice day away from the computer. But I'm back, and we're going to start the show off with talking about last night's games. Obviously, Liverpool getting thrashed by Atalanta, West Ham losing to Bayern Leverkusen. And the reason I'm bringing this up, because you're probably sat there thinking, why is somebody who talks about Manchester United talking about other teams? Well, we're heavily relying on the other teams remaining in Europe, the Liverpools, the Man Cities, the Arsenals. We're relying on them to progress through the European competitions. And the reason for that is because the new Champions League rules mean that 5th place might get Champions League football next season. But obviously, Liverpool are most likely out. Are they going to come back from a 3-0 deficit away from home? I don't think so. Bayern Leverkusen, 2-0 against West Ham. That's going to be very difficult. And what this could mean then is that 5th place won't get Champions League football. Now, I know some of you are probably sat at home thinking we're not going to get 5th place anyway. I mean, it's a possibility based on our current form at the moment. We've only won 1 Premier League game in the last 5 fixtures, so we're not currently playing like a team who should be getting Champions League football, let's be clear. We don't deserve Champions League football at the moment. To be only winning 1 game out of the last 5 in the Premier League is not Champions League criteria, is it? Like, it simply isn't. When you look at the teams above us, you look at the likes of Tottenham, they've won 3 of their last 5 games. Albeit Aston Villa are struggling now. They've only won 1 in their last 5 games and drawn 2, but still, it does now look increasingly unlikely that 5th place will get Champions League. So for us to get Champions League football, we'd have to get 4th, which is, I think, almost impossible. We're 11 points behind Tottenham. There's only 7 games left of the season. We'd have to win every single game of our remaining fixtures, and Tottenham would have to lose like probably 6 out of the last 7 games. So, I mean, it's still mathematically possible. I was more thinking that Aston Villa might slip up, to be honest. And, you know, their form at the moment is not very good. As I said, they've only won 1 game in the last 5. If they continue that form and we were to win the next kind of 5 or 6 matches, we would have a genuine chance of getting that 5th place spot. But yeah, it's a bit disappointing. But at the end of the day, I don't think we deserve Champions League football. So I think Europa is probably our level, being completely honest. You know, we were in the Champions League this season. We finished bottom of the group. We're clearly not good enough as a team to be in the Champions League. So as frustrating as it is, we are where we are. But let's move on from that and talk a little bit about the managerial situation. So there's been lots of different stories coming out in the last 24 hours. You've got one here from a Spanish journalist called Santi J, who's been quite reliable in the past. And he is reporting this morning that I think Erik ten Hag will be sacked this summer. He says that Manchester United are currently searching the market for a new manager to replace him. So that's one part of the story. Then you've got Neil Custis, who is a journalist here in the UK, very reliable. I mean, I say very reliable. He's probably like a tier 3 journalist, so not that reliable, to be fair. But he's reporting this morning that Manchester United players fear Erik ten Hag has now resigned himself to the sack at the end of the season. He says a number of United players have noticed a change in Erik ten Hag's demeanour over the last couple of weeks. So you've got that coming out from him. And then you've got the head of the German FA saying that, talking about Nagelsmann. So obviously, we spoke about Erik ten Hag there, and now we're going to talk about Nagelsmann really quickly, saying that there will be a decision in the next few weeks. He has a lot of inquiries, Nagelsmann. It's no secret that we would like to continue with him at Germany, but he has many top clubs to choose from, but we do hope he stays with us. So that's one part of it. And then you've got another journalist over in Germany this morning reporting that Nagelsmann has received an offer from an unknown Premier League club. He says, in the past, Manchester United and Newcastle have both been some of the interested parties. Now, thinking about it realistically, I think he is probably one of the most likely options if Ineos decide to remove Erik ten Hag. Obviously, he's got a contract with Germany that runs until the end of the Euros. Obviously, the Euros, I think, finishes in July, I think. It depends how far Germany go in the Euros, effectively. But I think, let's have a look. When's the Euros 2024 final? It is... let's have a look. When is it? It's on the 14th of July. So the Euros ends on the 14th of July. And then effectively Nagelsmann is a free agent. He can go to any club. I think there's a strong possibility that Man United look at him. Do I want Nagelsmann at Manchester United? I would personally rather keep Eric Ten Hag, to be honest, for one more season. I don't think Nagelsmann is like an incredible manager. I think he's a good manager. I think he could do quite well. But if you look at like what he's done in the past, he's probably at the same level as Eric Ten Hag in my opinion. Obviously, he didn't work out at Bayern Munich. He was at Leipzig before that. He's a very, very young manager. He's only 36 years of age, which is absolutely mad. And you think that Eric Ten Hag is seen as a young manager, but he's in his mid-50s. So he's an interesting choice. I just think that maybe it's a little bit too soon in Nagelsmann's career to be coming to Manchester United, especially when Manchester United are in such a difficult position at the moment. If we were, flying, winning everything, had an incredible team, like maybe he could be an interesting option, but we're at the bottom. We're in the gutter, as we have been for the last 10 years. There's such a big job to do at Manchester United that I don't think someone like Nagelsmann can come in and do that, in my opinion. But I want you guys to let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are on Nagelsmann. There's another story coming out this morning as well saying that Nagelsmann is really liked by members at Manchester United. Some of them really want him. However, some people say that people approached his agent and Nagelsmann said not to accept any approaches as it stands. So effectively, Nagelsmann's focusing on, his Germany side, who are obviously in the Euros. It's a home tournament. It's one that I don't know if they're expected to win, but whenever a team has an international tournament and it's being hosted in their own country, there's always that level of expectation, isn't there, that they should do well in it at least. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. For me personally, I wouldn't swap Eric Ten Hag for Nagelsmann. I know it's been a poor season. I know there's a lot of question marks around Eric Ten Hag, but I don't think Nagelsmann's any better than him, being completely honest. But you guys can let me know what you think. Would you like to see Nagelsmann come in as the new Manchester United manager in replace of Eric Ten Hag? Let me know in the comments section below. Moving over to Dan Ashworth then. So this is some positivity actually to bring into the show on this Friday morning. And the headline coming out from the Times here in the UK is that Jim Ratcliffe has apparently held new face-to-face talks with Newcastle co-owner Amanda Staveley in a bid to reach an agreement on Dan Ashworth's move to Manchester United. So obviously we all know that Newcastle put Dan Ashworth on gardening leave, which effectively means for a set period of time he can't go and work for another football club. That time is believed to be 12 months, so he wouldn't be able to start until next year. Now, Man United have been for months and months and months negotiating with Newcastle about having to pay them a fee to remove that gardening leave. Newcastle reportedly wanted 40 million at one point, and then it was 30, then it was 20. I think Manchester United wanted to pay somewhere around a couple of million, because that was the fee that Newcastle paid to Brighton a couple of years ago when they took Dan Ashworth from Brighton to Newcastle. It was a similar situation. Obviously, Newcastle don't need the money as much as, maybe a Brighton do. With financial fair play, though, that kind of throws everything out of the mix, because even though Newcastle have an unlimited amount of money, they can't spend it. So I can see why they're stamping their foot in the ground, because they see Man United as a direct rival and they'd rather probably weaken Manchester United than, get a couple of million in compensation. But I think this Dan Ashworth thing will be resolved, and I hope he'll be in ahead of the transfer window, because I think it's so important that if we are going to remove Eric Ten Hag, which I don't want to do, that decision needs to be made by Dan Ashworth, by Omar Barada, by Jason Wilcox. Like, it needs to be made by these people, not Jim Ratcliffe. It needs to be made by football experts. And those people need to be in the door. They need to evaluate what's going on at the club. They need to evaluate what's going wrong. Is it the manager? Is it the players? Is it the coaches? Like, they need to do a full evaluation before they make that decision. And the fact that everybody, including Omar Barada, hasn't even started work yet. We don't have any of these people in the door yet. All of them were placed on gardening leave. I think Omar Barada starts in June, I think. Jason Wilcox, I think, is going to be starting in the next couple of weeks. And Dan Ashworth, we don't know when he's starting. So for what is effectively a massive decision, to make that without those people in there, I think is the wrong move. If they all come in the next couple of weeks and they decide that Eric Ten Hag's not the man, then you have to trust them. You have to go with it, because these are the experts. We're just fans, who are entitled to an opinion, but Ineos are bringing in these people because they're specialists in football. So let's hope that this gets over the line quickly. A bit more positivity on Jason Wilcox, who will be the technical director, taking Darren Fletcher's role. The headline this morning is the expectation is that Manchester United will have completed the appointment of Jason Wilcox as the new technical director in the next week. So that's positive. He'll be coming through the door, definitely. Obviously, as I said, Omar Barada starts in June, and it looks like Dan Ashworth will be starting closer than we had all expected. So there is some positivity at the moment. Obviously, we've got a massive game against Bournemouth tomorrow. I want you guys to get in the comment section of this video. Let me know what your score predictions are for the Bournemouth game. I think it's going to be difficult. Obviously, Bournemouth beat us 3-0 at Old Trafford, which was obviously a shock. I don't personally think we'll get Champions League this season, which I don't think is a crazy opinion, but I think that we need to be very, very careful because we could easily slide down the table, you know. I mean, even Chelsea, who are a laughingstock at the moment, they've got a game in hand. If they win their game in hand, they'll only be 2 points behind us. West Ham are 1 point behind us. Newcastle are 2 points behind us. Like, even Brighton, who are 10th, they're only 6 points behind us. So we really, really need to tighten our grasp on Europa League because Man United needs some sort of European football. Like, it's not acceptable to be in no European competition. We have to have something. The Conference League, I think, would be a massive, massive disappointment. I think Europa League, considering how bad we've been, I would take that. I think, to be honest, I don't think it's even deserved. When you think that West Ham have been better than us this season, Brighton have at times. I don't think Newcastle have, and I don't think Chelsea have. But I mean, like, you look at Wolves and you look at teams like Fulham and stuff. Like, there's quite a few teams below us who I think deserve 6th place more than we do. So we need to put all of that aside and just get over the line and then kind of regroup in the summer. But let me know what you guys think on that in the comment section below. I'm going to wrap the video up here. Thank you so much for joining me on the show this morning. This has been Daily Red Devil. If you have enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment, subscribe. It doesn't cost you any money, and I'll speak to you all a bit later.